Welcome back to the Whatnauts Reactor Core. This week, we are here to talk about Marvel's What If #2. Second week in a row, we are back. More What If scenarios. My name is Kyle Spurringer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson.
Yes, hello.
Hello indeed. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm about to embark on a vacation. I let myself take 2 whole vacation days.
Nice. Do you have plans, or are you just hoping to like stare at the ceiling and sleep?
No. I have to go to the dentist, so I was just going to take like a half day, and then I realized how much vacation time I have to burn up, and I'm like, I'll take Thursday. Heck, I'll take Friday.
Two
What's
whole days to
stopping me?
go to the dentist.
Deep, long dentist.
Speaking of which, I need to make an appointment for that, so that's a good reminder to do so. But my week has been good. Today was a little uneventful. I was kind of in a weird mood for a while there, but I tried this new soda that is like a like it's more natural ingredients. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was not bad. It was pretty good, and that has lifted my spirits. I'm no longer in a fog of no sugar and caffeine and stuff like that. So I'm feeling good to talk about some Marvel stuff.
Thank you for telling the audience that a mysterious unnamed soda is pretty good.
I don't know. You know, 5 out of 5 would drink again. Mysterious soda.
Maybe you'll find it in your own stores, listeners, or maybe you won't. You'll never be able to tell.
Have one. Dun, dun, dun. Anyways, Marvel. What if T'Challa was Starlord? This was an interesting one. I liked it a lot. I felt like this one was a much calmer one. Like I think it might have just been my excitement for having something new, but I felt like the excitement level was up for the first one, and this one, I don't want to say that like a lower excitement level is a bad thing, but like it felt calmer, and I really enjoyed that. I thought this one was very tasteful and touching. So that's what I thought about this one. I liked it a lot. Melissa, what did you think?
I went into this with a lot of questions. I knew the basic premise, but I wasn't sure how it was going to be executed. Like, we were wondering,
right?
Does Yondu just, and it turns out his team just grabbed the wrong kid? Is T'Challa the child of ego instead of Peter? Does that mean there's no Peter? No, it turns out there is a Peter. Peter's still out there in a Missouri Dairy Queen.
Yep, just mopping floors and stuff.
Happy to see. We've covered this extensively on the podcast, but if you're new, I'm from Missouri. I'm a St. Louisian, and I see myself in Starlord. He's very dear to my heart for that, for that alone. So I was very happy he was Peter Quill was still here, and we got to be in Missouri even for like 30 seconds at the end of the episode.
Right? Yeah. So I thought this one was interesting that it didn't start off when like I was expecting to see the scene where T'Challa gets taken to be the first thing of like, and like what they did last week, where they started it out normally and then it was like, and boom, that's the moment that changed. But this, we got we got the basically a new version of the Guardians 1 like starting scene, where T'Challa is Star-Lord, and he takes off his helmet and is immediately recognized as Star-Lord, which was great. But I really liked the reasoning that the Ravagers had for picking up T'Challa instead of like, hey, we were scanning the planet and there's some weird funky stuff happening right there. we don't know. So we went there. And we just happened to pick up the first thing that we saw. It has 2 listen holes, 2 see holes, 1 eat hole.
1 eat hole. Excellent use of Kraglin in this episode. I gotta say, This whole episode did so well on the supporting characters. I never expected to spend this much time with Korath, but it was wonderful.
Yeah, but I just have to say that I liked that reasoning.
Yeah,
that
tracks.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense that hey, there's this big giant space rock here, and that's given a lot of signals or something. So let's go and look there. There has to be something there.
I'm curious what the origin of this story is. If it was always the Ravagers pick up T'Challa instead, or if it was just, what if the Ravagers grab a different kid instead of Peter Quill, and they landed on T'Challa as the most logical substitution?
Well, it seems like it was that they didn't know exactly what or who they were looking for. They just knew cosmic.
No, and the meta narrative, how this episode got put together. I don't know if this is based on a comic or how this happened in the writer's room.
Gotcha. Yeah, who thought of it and stuff because it's an interesting one to be what if someone else became Starlord, and then they start putting out Howard the Duck. What if Howard the Duck was Starlord? And then someone was like, no, T'Challa, and they're all just yes, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, was he number 1 on the list, or did it take several hours to get to him? I'm curious.
Insane. Yeah. Interesting. So this ends up kind of being a heist. Which I was not expecting, to say the least, but I really enjoyed it. What is, and I'm about to mispronounce the actor's name, Djimon Hounsou?
Djimon Hounsou?
There you go. What's his character's name in this?
Korath, right?
Okay. Yeah. He distinctly gave me vibes of the ex-cons from Ant-Man and the Wasp. I would love to see him interacting with them and just being so enthusiastic and excited about joining the new team and being a part of that, because we know that T.I. is no longer gonna be in this third one because he said some real dumb stuff, and they were all right, you're done. So they might be looking for someone new. Let's make this happen. Marvel, I need it, please.
Right, this is just another variant of that same guy, and this is a side of him we've never. There's one that's a space bounty hunter, and one that's a small time crook on Earth.
No,
this is a side of him
make him the character that we this guy somehow he gets.
Is he still alive?
To the MCU? Yeah, in this universe.
Okay.
He is, right? He didn't get killed in this one.
Well, in this one he's still alive, correct? I'm thinking about Marvel proper,
bring
Marvel 199999.
I don't remember if the original one is, but still, bring him along with the ex-cons, because I imagine him just heading there for one of Luis's stories, right? So I know this guy named Jake, right? And he was playing softball with my cousin, and then he said, and he's just yeah, and what next?
He's enthralled. He loves the Luis story.
Right, yeah. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/The Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/The Whatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today.
What a great turn for this like small supporting character. And what a great way to introduce him, because I think that moment from Guardians of the Galaxy and from the trailer promoting the movie, when all anybody knew about it was, Marvel's making some weird new movie about these obscure characters, and it's got like a raccoon and a tree guy. And you put that trailer out, and it's Peter going, "It's me, Starlord," and then Korath goes, "Who?"
Yeah.
Starlord.
Yeah.
So to have that, and instead he recognizes T'Challa, is a huge fan of T'Challa, wants to be his best friend.
Incredible.
Is a terrific spin on this. I love it so much. I like how the first episode was a pretty direct swap out, like one very distinct change from like a very clear jump off point, something we've seen. Steve goes into the tube. What if Steve is injured at the last minute and they need to put somebody in the tube, and Peggy's like, "I'll jump in." And then we follow that through a series of weeks or months. It's very short. This is a choice that happened like 20 years ago, and we see how different things are so far out from that one choice. And it's such an interesting character study. I was thinking about how like everybody loves T'Challa. Even Thanos is pals with him. It's so funny. And
Thanos
how he gets picked up by Yondu, and he's out exploring on the edges of the Wakandan perimeter. It's a very Moana type story where he's like, "I want to leave." And his dad's like, "The best place, you're already in the best place. Like, I get it that you want to explore, but like, keep your head here." And he's like, "No, I want to see what's out there." And he gets picked up by the spaceship, and this blue guy from space is like, "Yeah, do you want to see stars? Like, I can take you to go see stars. It'll be fun. We'll be pals. I can teach you how to do crime and stuff." And so I like that if you've got a kid who joined this situation voluntarily and comes from such a positive family background, like you think about Peter Quill, who had his father was absent because his father is a living planet, and his mother was dying of cancer. He was in this very traumatic experience. His mother dies right in front of him. He can't bear to look at her. He runs out in grief, and he's suddenly just like sucked up by a ship, and he didn't agree to any of this. You imagine, that's part of why he grew up having such an antagonistic relationship with the Ravagers and everyone around him. You pick up T'Challa, who's a boy with like a very sweet, supportive household. He volunteers to get on the spaceship. He becomes best friends with those guys. And then that energy spreads, and then he's best friends with all these other people in space.
Yep. I liked the nickname that Nebula had for him, Cha-Cha.
Cha-Cha. I also like that he's still called Starlord. And in the original Peter Quill version of the story, that was his mom's nickname for him. That's the name he carried. Presumably nobody on Earth is calling T'Challa Starlord, but somebody in space must call him that as a nickname, and him, a literal prince, doesn't correct them. Even though Lord is technically a lower title, he's like, "I'm humble. I'll take Starlord. Thank you."
Yeah. So you mentioned that his like sweetness and kindness like spread throughout the galaxy, which is a wonderful thought. But I think it has the most effect on Thanos, who I want to talk about next, because Thanos in this was wonderful. Thanos in this reminded me so much of War Machine in Avengers 2 at the parties, who's sitting there like, and then I said, "Boom, you looking for this? And he's just like,
it's
and
one story, and he's gonna tell everybody.
Exactly, and everyone just is like, oh, this story again. Like, we've already heard this. We know it was efficient. But yeah, I like he has this. He has a better relationship with Nebula. Still not a great one necessarily. But
a very film noir
there's
relationship with Nebula.
Sure, yeah. There's not really enough to say one way or another, I feel like. But yeah, he did not go through with his search for these stones and to commit like genocide, as they like to call him in this, Captain Genocide. And yeah, he just has this like off-puttingly agreeable nature.
It is so funny really to see him.
Yeah.
It's just being like a jolly like dad figure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like I love Nebula. She's like a film noir relationship with T'Challa, where it seems like she's like the mall. She's like the confidant. Also, I love that she has a Sue Storm wig. I like that that's part of this. Amid all of these other changes they're throwing in, they're also like, what if Nebula had a wig?
I'm wondering, I'm wondering if that's not a wig. I'm wondering if that's her actual hair. Because
it could be her actual hair that is just now in wig form, because we do see her take it on and off.
Joey? I must have
I think
missed
so.
that then.
I think there's a couple shots where she doesn't have it on.
My point is this version of Nebula probably does not have all of these cybernetic parts.
Yeah.
So yeah, something like having a head of hair is possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to see her, and that she still has some cybernetic stuff. They mentioned her eye, but that was about it. But yeah, I like the plan that she comes up with. Of just like, hey, I'm in debt with the Collector. He wants you, so I'm gonna give him you, but then I'm gonna free you, and then we'll go from there. I thought that was a brilliant plan. And again, we get Horath being like, it was a triple cross, amazing.
Right. The fact that they're able to fit all of this into like 32 minutes is amazing. There's so much going on in this episode. They've got all those supporting characters put in here. Yeah. It's very dense. I liked it a lot. To talk about the Collector, I like that he's buff. That's an interesting choice. They're like, well, it's a cartoon. We don't have to make Benicio del Toro really trained. They can make anybody as buff as they want. Saw that in the first episode with Peggy. I hope every episode involves somebody just being swole to heck.
Buff watch. This episode, The Collector.
I can't wait till we get that Spider-Man episode and we've got a real muscular Ned.
Name everybody's character. It's Buff Ned.
Buff variants of everyone, please. You make a killing with all the buff Funko variants you can sell.
Can we just get a whole like Marvel multiverse where everyone is buff? Just planet buff.
Planet buff. Yeah, man. Hopefully that's part of Secret Wars. Maybe it's one of their tactics to win the Secret Wars.
There you go. Which I don't know if you saw. There was some scuttlebutt on Twitter about Secret Wars. Not much out there, but the original writer of the comic, I guess, was contacted by Marvel for something to write a novelization, but something about his contract was like, hey, this is a lot more than just a novel. And he was like, oh, you're making a movie, huh? And they were just like, we cannot confirm or deny this statement.
Man.
So who
Secret
knows
Wars is going to be fun.
But
that's a fun long-term game. Yeah, Collector's buff. He has Hela's horns, which is a fabulous look.
You had Captain America's shield, which who
Yeah.
knows is that the what shield that is, where that's from, because the one we know is broken, and the one that Cap came back with at the end, I'm assuming is a different shield because that first one did get shattered. But that could mean that the shield that Sam has now, it is from a different universe. It might be the one that the Collector had there. Who knows?
I'd like to think that old Steve went to all of these places. I'd love to see old Steve interact with Howard the Ducks. The two of them can sit down and have a drink. I also like that this story had Howard the Duck in it, and then he's like at a bar. He's like in the Collector's compound, and then we don't see him again. So presumably Howard the Duck is just roaming free out there.
I want old Steve to be on like a multiversal tour, like, and on the left you see Buff World here, but the tour is being presented by Stan Lee. I think that would be amazing. Of course, they would have to get someone else to do his voice, which wouldn't really do all that stuff, but oh well. But like, I feel like old Steve and Stan would be great together. That would be
old pals.
Oh yeah, old pals indeed. Let's see, what else can we mention here?
Much happened.
Yeah, so we see Nowhere, but what they're stealing in this thing, I forget exactly what they called them, but they are these seeds that will basically terraform and clean up a planet. If you plant them in, and so they planted them. I guess they didn't really plant them. They put them in the mouth of that one dude from the Black Order, and
happy to see the Black Order here again.
it was nice to see Thanos fighting them. That was an interesting thing. Yeah. And then to see Gamora save him there. But yeah, so this stuff gets planted and sprouts all across the planet. Nowhere is a mining town. So I'm curious as to what that means for Nowhere. Does that mean they can't mine there anymore? Or does that mean they like clean it up and now the stuff that is there is more valuable because it's cleaned off of all of the impurities and stuff like that? Or I don't know.
I'm glad you were also thinking about this because I was concerned. I think I missed some of the exposition. I saw her just like throw some seeds or something. And then like all these plants and vines come like sprouting out of the Collector's compound. You know, there's chaos. And then we get the wide shot and it's all over Nowhere. And I'm like, I didn't know this was going to happen to the entire head. Like other people live there. Other people work there. Are they okay?
Yeah, they seemingly just, I don't want to say destroyed, but yeah, there's this big like terraforming event that is happening.
It is disrupted, yeah, and we don't know if that's how much that changes the quality of what Nowhere is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot to think about. I was so happy to visit a lot of these Guardians settings again.
Absolutely. I want to give a big shout out to Yondu, because Yondu in this, man, what a great dad! Just
an excellent dad,
just a good dad.
Quality dads. Three great dads in this episode. We got him. We got T'Chaka. Thanos is certainly a lot nicer to Nebula than he was in the movie, where he's like, "I'm going to break you into multiple pieces and then throw your sister off a cliff."
Yep.
I'm your dad.
Plenty of dads to go around in this one.
Another fun aspect of this episode, something I've always enjoyed about the Black Panther story, is that he's so cool and as like a superhero, and he's so well respected. He's the prince, and then he's the king, and like everybody treats him very, everybody gives him that respect he deserves. But his inner circle, like his sister, his girlfriend, his his number 2 in command, his head of the guard. They all tease him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like how like the immediate people around him like don't think he's that cool.
Yeah.
They respect him as a king and as a hero, yeah, but they also think he's kind of a dork. So to see like him go to space and live this other life, and then everybody thinks like he's the Fonz. Like Starlord T'Challa is the coolest guy I have ever met. Korath is like, he's my best friend.
Though. Yeah.
They are right. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's funny that like Wakanda is a place of such excellence that even like the king and its greatest superhero, there's people around him who are so much better than him at other aspects of life.
Yeah.
That they've got something they can tease him about. And he goes to space and he's just exemplary. Everybody loves him. I love having this weird gang thrown together. You've got Kraglin and Taserface hanging out together.
Yeah.
So never really did.
So one thing I thought this was gonna be the one, because in the trailer we see a scene where instead of the Avengers in the Battle of New York, it's the Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's right.
I thought that was going to be this one. Just because it was like, hey, what if T'Challa's Star-Lord? So that might be a different one, but that is what I was expecting, and we didn't get that with this. So I think they said that T'Challa, Star-Lord, I don't know, would be back in another episode or two.
Yeah. I did hear on the
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, I did hear that on the new Rockstar's reaction that they said he'll be back in 3 more episodes. And I don't know if that's 3 episodes from now, like he'll be in episode 5, or if he will be in 3 more episodes.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if there's any one character who they're using that often in this series.
It might just be a swap of the Guardians that we know from the movies. They are the ones there in New York. Who knows?
I did love getting to see Drax for a minute here in this episode. It's kind of perplexing that he wound up as a bartender. That's not what I would have imagined for him. But I was so relieved to hear this is a world where his wife and daughter are still alive.
Yep. And he still has his like, let's take a new picture. That is a terrible picture. Just like complete, like will not just will not lie about anything and will not hold back. He has no filter and just doesn't realize that. It's like, oh, you probably don't want to word it like that. He has like no social races.
I also love that Karina gets to survive in this story. The pink girl with the pigtails who's the collector's servant. Yeah, she doesn't like sacrifice herself by grabbing the power stone. Instead, she gets to like knock him out. And she, like the whole moment she has T'Challa where she's like, I like what you said to him about not being put in a cage. I agree. I thought that was sweet. I'm glad to know that the story is watching out for her and knows that us, the audience, is like, I'd like to see the pink girl get a better life. Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting that they can tell such a compelling story while still having as much fan service as they do.
Yeah, that's
and all
true.
Of these nods, because sometimes if you add in enough fan service or enough of these moments of just like, oh, I understood that reference, then it kind of devolves into just that of just like, oh, okay, this is just a series of events and it's not necessarily a cohesive story. But yeah, they're still managing to put those moments within a cohesive story that is interesting and fun to watch, and yeah, you have a blast watching that.
I also love they adopt Laika at the end. I think that's the name of this particular space dog. I'm happy that the space dog gets a new home. Everybody gets let out of their cages at the collector's place. I hope we do see a little bit more from this particular universe branch. I am intrigued by what is happening with Nowhere and who are all these people that the Collector was keeping and how is the world different now that they're all out there? Well, who were these people? It's not like it's a jail. He doesn't necessarily have criminals or great foes in there or monsters. He just sort of has things he thinks are interesting. I like that he gets T'Challa and then takes a closer look at him once he's in his little cube and he's like, do you not do anything? Do you not have superpowers? Yeah.
Good stuff.
And the fact that after he was taken away, the Wakanda sent a spaceship out there to get him. There's an airship that we see flying around that they have in regular timeline, and now they've made it into a spaceship. A very Man of Steel type of moment. He goes in there and he finds a message from his dad. And I really dug those like Dora Milaje drones that are sitting there in the ship that are just faceless mannequins. Yeah, that was so eerie. I liked it.
Is strange because so it implies that Wakanda has space travel, which then makes you think in the movie that we already saw, did they have space travel then and we just didn't know it? Like, it's possible because their technology is so far advanced. But yeah, in this particular one, it's interesting because we don't know if like those mannequins are part of the ship, and that is because you know how they have the like car thing where what's the the thing where he's driving the car from Wakanda, but they're actually like in Tokyo or something. Is it a situation like that where someone in Wakanda can drive this spaceship using this kind of mannequin that's in there? Or has Wakandans been out in space? Have members of the Dora Milaje been killed out in space? And these are their clothes that are out there, and he's been collecting them and stuff like that. Like he found
those literally
their ship and like took this off dead bodies and stuff like that. Like,
my gosh.
We don't know.
Like, that's literally a mannequin for like a museum exhibit. Like he got a mannequin to put their clothes on.
He had that whole thing of just like, here's all these ships and like here's what it might look like inside these ships there. So yeah, it's like strange to think about, and I don't know if it's something that we're gonna revisit or not. Who knows?
These episodes are so rich in possibility, and then we get this great ending where they go back to Wakanda, and it's just like a family party where they're all just hanging out and eating snacks and talking.
And Thanos is there telling his story, being like, and it was a very efficient idea. And they're just like,
it wasn't genocide because it was random, right? And he's like, Dad, shut up.
Good stuff. And then I guess the actual end scene, like you mentioned, is Ego going to pick up Peter Quill from Dairy Queen and being like, hey, I'm your dad. Let's go be gods. And he's just like, sorry, sir, this is a Dairy Queen.
I got a mop and listen to my Flock of Seagulls cassette.
Yeah. So good stuff. I enjoyed this one. Do we happen to know what the next one is going to be?
I think it's another take on Fury's Big Week.
Okay. Cool. Yes, I did hear that was mentioned, but that is all I know of that one. I'm excited. This is good. It's fun. Something new each week.
It's really fun. I like how these two first episodes were very different from each other. One told this much smaller, more insulated story, and this one was wackier, more wide-reaching. Both with a lot of very interesting potential after effects to explore. I'm excited for this. I'm excited to, whenever we get to just Scott Lang's head in a tube. Sometimes I just remember
Yes.
that's also happening.
Yeah.
Everyone's excited about these zombies. I just want to see Futurama decapitated head Ant-Man.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. I am excited. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities. Me and my brother James talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember.
Go. You guys want to stay up to date with me? I'm at YoKyleSpringer on Twitter. If you guys want to follow all the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. We do have a Suicide Squad spoiler cast up on this very same feed, the Reactor Core. But let's see, this week we are watching a movie called Stowaway for the review show, which is one of our other podcasts that we do, so be sure to go check that stuff out. Last but not least, big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier and above. So thank you, Sam, so much.
Thanks,
we appreciate
Sam.
it. We love you a lot. But with that, I think that wraps up number 42 of the Whatnauts Reactor Core. So we will see you all this next week. Bye.
Bye.